Shabbat Shalom. This is a wonderful opportunity I have to give you a few words about this week's Parsha, Parshat Emor. Parshat Emor is part of the Holiness Code. It follows Parshat Kedoshim that we read last week. Now, it's many Torah commentaries over the centuries have compared and contrasted 5 times that the Torah provides us calendars for festivals and observances. Twice in Sefer Shmot, Exodus, where the emphasis is on the agricultural seasons, and then extensively in the book we'll read next, Sefer Dvar, Numbers, where the specific additional Musaf offerings for all of the year's observances, including Shabbat, Rosh Chodesh, the beginning of the new month, and 3 pilgrimages are read in our cycle of readings. And later in Sefer Devarim, in Deuteronomy, the social aspects of the 3 pilgrimage festivals are emphasized. So what distinguishes our reading in this week's Parshat Emor is that the introduction to this calendar is with the observance of Shabbat, and then follows the observance of Pesach, the Omer counting, ending on the 50th day, Rosh Hashanah, which is not called Rosh Hashanah in the Torah, but Zichron Teruah, the memorial of the blowing of the horn, whatever that really means, then Yom Kippur, and then Sukkot. And here too, for the most part, the agricultural seasons are the basis for the 3 pilgrimage festivals. So why does our calendar reading begin with Shabbat this week? In this parsha, it's called a moed, a designated or appointed time, which is a term that's really usually reserved for the 3 pilgrimage festivals. And a possible understanding of this is that the festival, the moadim, should be considered as sacred as Shabbat. And that might well be because of the juxtaposition of the Shabbat and the Chagim. Now, I would suggest that Shabbat is to be seen as woven into the act of creation. It is this creation of nature and its physical characteristics, especially those that signify the natural seasons, in which we honor the sustenance that we derive from the natural world, that can only be truly appreciated at the observance of Shabbat. That is known as the day of the remembrance of the creation of the world, the Zecher L'Maseh Bereshit. And Shabbat is not bound up in any seasonal flow, but is rather an integral part of our natural existence. And it is from this beginning that all that follows flows. So we know that the 3 observances of the pilgrimage festivals are for the most part agricultural, except some historical meaning is given. Pesach, obviously, with the leaving of Egypt. Sukkot, talking about harvest booths, or the booths that we were in as we temporarily made our move from Egypt to Canaan. And there really is no reason given for Shavuot, except it's the 50th day of the counting, but it doesn't have a historical kind of reasoning behind it. Many of these things were given later, historical, and then of course, theological. But it's interesting in our calendar this week, and I just want to spend a little time on that, is that Yom Kippurim, or Yom Kippur, is called Shabbat Shabbaton, the Sabbath of Sabbaths. And this returns us to the question of why this week's Parsha begins with Shabbat as the primary observance. Now, on Yom Kippur, as you know, which trumps Shabbat, believe it or not, you are allowed to observe the denials, the self-denials on Yom Kippur, even if it falls on Shabbat. And we need those according to tradition in order to be able to leave our physicality and get into a more spiritual mood for self-reflection, introspection, etc., and the process of tshuva. But it's very interesting that if Shabbat is not Yom Kippur, which happens occasionally, you're not permitted any of those self-denials. You can't deny yourself the physical pleasures that one denies oneself on Yom Kippur. Even mourning practices where people deny themselves during the week of mourning are interrupted by Shabbat. So what I'm hoping to get to is that one of the reasons Shabbat is so vital is because it does emphasize the fact that despite we are a minuscule creature in the vast universe, Shabbat gives us a chance to, if you will, get a booster shot, a weekly booster shot, to create those spiritual antibodies to fight off despair, which is the enemy. And many of us are facing that with all the challenges around us. And we're challenged by not only the physicality, but also the sense of our distancing from each other. Now, avoiding despair doesn't mean you have to be cavalier, and discount the tremendous challenges and threats we are encountering. But Shabbat and the festival cycle offers us a balance as we are going through these enormous changes in our lives. Our tradition calls synagogues Kehilot Kodesh, holy congregations. And what makes them holy, not holy in the holy sense, but Kodesh, which means also devoted, to be a congregation of devotees, people who come together to be devoted to Torah ideals, and most of all, devoted to each other. And I hope that you can use Shabbat as a valuable tool around which to organize your lives in these days of isolation. Shabbat Shalom to all of us, and I hope to see you all soon in person and to be able to embrace each other and to come together in joyous celebration as we do. But meanwhile, we're trying to do it online. Take advantage of it, Kabbalat Shabbat, and with all of these wonderful opportunities of learning. And as I say, we wish all of us good health, not only for ourselves, but for the entire planet. And we trust that we will get to a place of that health. Shabbat Shalom.